Right. We roll and roll and roll and roll in. We roll and roll and roll and roll in into the trade deadline. 24 hours to go, people. Who's excited? I'm excited. I'm excited. Bengals is
that guy's
here. I'm
excited.
excited because RJ is here, even though we can't see the gloriousness of his face and top knot. Let's get excited, people. Let's get the energy up because it's the trade deadline. If you can't get excited for a fantasy football trade deadline, you probably shouldn't be playing a fantasy football league. Chris, are you excited because it's development night, or are you just excited because it's the trade deadline?
I am excited for everything, but probably most excited for the trade deadline. The next 23 hours are some of the most fun hours traditionally in this league that we have.
Yep. I look forward to draft. I look forward to rollover, draft, and trade deadline. Those are the times when things get crazy.
Yep.
Indeed. But again, here we are. Speaking of things getting crazy, thank God none of us are really managing the Raiders franchise in real life. Holy shit. Like, if you were to design, like, this is like video game stuff. Like, I don't know if you guys ever played like the story modes of the NBA 2Ks or stuff.
Yeah.
Where, the owner sold the team, then he bought the team back in the same season from that owner, and hey, we're gonna bring it. You're gonna move the team. We're not gonna move the team. Or the FIFA stuff. Oh, we sold you, then we loaned you, then we bought you back, then we sold you again. Like things that would never happen in real life. That's what's happening in the Raiders season right now. Their coach literally just got run out of the league because the commissioner leaked emails, which, again, I'm not saying he shouldn't have gotten fired, but, like, literally the commissioner ran him out of the league with how that stuff got leaked. Then you have a controversy. Is the quarterback going to stay? Is he going to go? On top of that, your number one draft pick from 2 years ago pops a double the legal limit DUI, rolling 134 miles an hour, and kills a girl. Like, what's going to happen next? Like, literally, is somebody going to catch fire on the field?
I hope
It's
not.
it's just a sequence of very poor choices, one after another.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're seeing all the results happen pretty close together.
Is this because they moved to Vegas? Like, because crazy shit happens in Vegas? I don't know. Like, I don't know if I could handle this as an Oakland fan or a Raiders fan. I say Oakland because, I grew up in the Bay Area. I'm a 49ers fan. So I was almost a Raiders fan. And I don't know if my heart could handle this.
I got nothing to say about it. None of it's good.
Yeah. The Gruden stuff, I don't know. We'll see if anybody else gets fired. I mean, he definitely should have lost his job for the things that were said, but fishy circumstances with it being leaked and him being the only person thrown under the bus, I guess some people are saying. But the rug stuff is just horrible. He deserves any punishment he's going to get, but it's just awful that a 22-year-old made those kind of decisions.
Agreed. And again, it's one of those where, in both cases, you want to be able to exhibit some form of compassion because we're not all heartless monsters like Colts. It's just, we want to feel something for these guys and hope that there's an upside for it. But in neither situation can you walk away feeling anything but, yeah, that, it sucks how it happened, but if this is what happened, then he deserves to not have a job in the NFL anymore and deserves what's coming to him. So, again, just I just don't know what's going to happen next at this point. Like, literally, the fact that this is happening and they're winning the fucking AFC West, like, that's the thing that's most mind-numbing here. They won their last two games, right?
I don't follow the Raiders at all. I didn't even know they were winning that division.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm almost certain they're winning that division. Let me pull up the standings just to confirm. They are winning that division by a game right now over the Chargers, and they have won two straight. So I'm right on both counts. So literally, I just don't know. This is breaking my brain. So we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on to the next.
They're a decent team outside of their coaching changes.
All right, fine. So we'll move on to the next thing. On a happier note, Chris, on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy were you that Matt traded for Derrick Henry right before Derrick Henry broke himself?
It's still a depressing thing. I mean,
damn it, get excited about something.
I can't be excited for that because you make a move to improve your team, which is the right move for a win now roster and position and set himself up for this year, and then you have a freak injury on a guy that's been essentially, as far as I know, hasn't missed a game yet in his career, and suddenly has one, knocks him out for the rest of the season. And now instead of having your unstoppable RB1 for the year, you've got a 27-year-old with a broken foot out for the remainder of the year, which obviously puts a damper on future value for him as well. So sure, I'm not upset that one of my competitors doesn't have the best roster, but I would not wish it to happen in that form, if that was what you're saying. Because taking on the flip side, my prized defensive end is out for the year as well. Kind of same impact position. I'd take defensive end as the running backs of defense, and suddenly we're down 2-star players from our rosters.
RJ's like, this sounds like good team problems, and I don't have to worry about those right now.
I don't know. I think I was adamant about not getting rid of Najee for Derrick Henry when that was a discussion going on. So I knew the Henry thing, like the production was going to stop at some point. I just didn't know he was going to break his own foot because he's that much of a monster human being.
So much force.
Yeah.
He cratered the ground and snapped the bone.
Yeah, that's my thing. I've already traded for him in a couple of leagues. Again, shock. Hopefully you guys were sitting down for that one. Because it's not like he's had a major structural problem here. He broke his pinky toe.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like, this is not like, oh my God, he's not going to be able to cut anymore. Like, no, this is his pinky toe. Like, this is something that's, got surgery, got repaired. It's going to likely heal. It's not like, oh, he's got, major knee injuries. He's got a major back problem. No. He's got, shoulder issues. It's a pinky toe. So he's firmly planted himself until it's almost the Tom Brady mode. Like, until there's visible sign of him not being able to do it anymore, he gets all of the runway he wants with me, as far as I'm concerned.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't think there is some drop off when he comes back. I don't think he stops being the Derrick Henry that we've always seen. It sucks for the Chargers being 10-2 and eyeing a championship, and him being gone for pretty much that whole time period. So he's not going to be of any use during our season this year.
It's all down to timing. Right. It's literally the worst possible time for a fantasy league for a championship this year.
Yeah, and it sucks because you're in a situation where, like, if his team doesn't automatically become terrible, but you're faced with this situation of, do I sell him at a slight discount? Because let's be realistic. You're not going to sell him for 50% of what he's worth. You're going to want to get. You still want a substantial amount from him.
Yeah, 70-80%.
Right. So do you swap him into, and then ultimately it ends up being, I just traded Najee Harris and a first-round pick and a halfway decent defensive end for this whatever running back he may swap Henry for, and it's just still a lesser running back than even Harris, and it feels terrible.
Yeah, the first one that pops to mind is if the Giants offered him Javonte and Chuba for Derrick Henry. Could that get the conversation started? I don't know if that's straight up enough, but I would imagine if Giants is trying to tank, having Derrick on that contract and having him back at full strength with everything else on that roster next year would not be the worst thing.
Well, then you get into that weird dance of to a tanking team, like, should you really be charging any type of a discount? Because the lack of production is actually beneficial to them.
Right. But again, he's going to get a discount because the player's injured. So I think we're all in agreement. He's not going to sell Henry for nothing. He'll keep him because he'll come back in the potential of the playoff run and maybe even make an impact in our playoffs. But that being said, if someone comes with 80 cents on the dollar, and like I said, it would be say something based off Javonta, or let me see if there's another team that kind of makes some good sense here.
I tell you, if he doesn't have Elijah Mitchell pop this year like he has, you're definitely scrambling to sell him. But right now, I think you just sit on him.
Or hey, if the Seahawks actually logged in, and did something say around Chase Edmonds, Deontay Johnson, and something, he could put together something that's pretty compelling for that, especially with Deontay about to get a little bit more expensive. I think there is a package that Matt can make a deal for here that's going to help stabilize the offense. He may not get the full dollar back, and if he wants to do that, and say Elijah Mitchell can carry him while Henry is out, he can do that. But I think he's got options still, because this is not an injury. It's like, oh God, Derrick Henry's never going to be back again. It's not an Achilles. It's not a Liz Frank. It's a pinky toe.
Right.
All right, good enough. So back to cheery subjects. Well, shit. No, that we got Rodgers getting COVID. That's not cheery. So let's not talk about that. Well, I don't know. Bengals, you guys hate the Packers, right?
I'm not a Packer fan. Yeah, I hate them. I mean, I tolerate them in this league, but in real life, I hate them.
That might be the nicest thing you ever said about Jeremy.
Yeah. No, the Rodgers news. I mean, again, it's not going to impact anything, right? Like, he's out this week, maybe next week. Raiders, I believe, is still the owner of Rodgers here, and I believe he just started. I believe he just sold off some pieces.
Yeah. So that. Again, he obviously would make sense for him to trade off Rodgers. But with COVID now, it's like, hey, here's a $33 million quarterback who has COVID, who wants to give me what he's worth. It's at this point, do you take 40% of Aaron Rodgers in a trade right now, or do you just say, fuck it, I'm going to see where he goes next year, and I'm going to trade him in the offseason? I might do the latter, but I wouldn't kill him for doing the former.
Nope. Well, I'm taking a look at. I've actually looked at Jordan Love's stats now that we've got the Mike White conversation going on, just to see games played and such. And again, that hopefully is a little bit different, because you're going to do a 5th-year extension on him, or 5th-year option if he ever looks viable. And then by that point, anyway. Right. So you have to do the 5th year first, and then extend off of that. So you've got a little bit more time. But if he hasn't played anything up till then, we got to make a decision on that.
Well, again, like you said, it's a first-round pick, and that locks in where you're going to be anyway. And then it's a question of, do you have enough stats for making a projection based off that? And that's going to be a minor impact. I was just really sad to see Jeremy once again having to make the sacrifice of getting rid of Pharaoh Cooper.
I couldn't believe it. I double checked the transaction when I was refreshing during work. Like, there's no way he traded him away.
Again, it was one of those days where I just was kind of keeping track of what was happening on the email. I wasn't engaging in chat. I couldn't. I didn't have time to. I saw that. I'm like, wait, Pharaoh Cooper? Like, it didn't matter it was a 4th rounder. It's like Pharaoh Cooper got traded from Jeremy. This can't happen.
I mean, the sentimental value alone makes that a 2nd-round pick worth the value to Jeremy that he gave up for Cobb. Even though Raiders did not get that actual physical value. That was probably the highlight of my day, is seeing Pharaoh Cooper get moved and then me flipping to Discord quick to see the chats going on.
I couldn't believe it. It's I'm expecting to see an Instagram quote at some point from either Pharaoh or from Jeremy saying, farewell, I enjoy the time we had, all that fun stuff.
So to anybody else, if anybody else is Packers and you get this offer, or, you run to whatever computer you can get to, and you accept the offer. But I honestly think Jeremy had a very hard time deciding if he wanted to send this offer or accept it, however it went.
Yep.
But there was a lot more debate on Jeremy's part than there would have by anybody else. But I like the trade for him from a competing sense.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm teaching my wife how to find an app on her TV.
Okay.
Well, I'm in Virginia and she's in New Jersey. So the degree of difficulty on my life right now is a 9.6.
Doesn't sound easy.
While also coordinating a contractor, finishing home renovations and stuff like that. So
you should tell her she needs to wait 45 minutes for you to finish your live stream with your other colleagues.
My other colleagues.
You can have
I did do that once. I did do a podcast, stay up and do a podcast and say, I'm going to take a Zoom
work call
for work. I'll be up late. It's like a Zoom call. It's 10 o'clock. Yeah. I was doing work with Singapore and a couple of, the Pan Asian countries for a little bit. So it was actually believable for a little while. And then at some point, it's like, I'm done with that project. It's like, well, shit, I guess I can't use that as an excuse anymore. But,
yep.
The things we do for the love of podcasts.
All right. I got 2 more minutes, guys. If there's any
so
pressing questions or answers you want from me before I go.
Answer. It's trade deadline. What are you trying to do?
What am I trying to do?
What are you trying to do?
I am looking at my defensive end position and also debating whether Tuitt is coming back at all this year. If I think he's coming back before playoffs, I probably stand pat. If he's not, I'm probably looking to move either, I know one of Eagles' favorite players, Gus the Bus, from my IR, along with picks to swap for a suitable defensive end. Or I go big and do a huge multi-piece deal and completely change a fifth of my roster again.
I vote for that one.
that one right there.
One.
Yeah.
So we've decided that everybody needs to send Chris mega offers that is completely going to trade and turn over a fifth of his roster.
I've blocked out about an hour and a half of my afternoon tomorrow to make sure I'd have time to go through fantasy football related stuff for this league compared to work. So I will be around. Probably not much more this evening, but you guys can catch me tomorrow if you want to discuss trades.
Chris is going to be working tonight. He's going to be at his computer. He may not be able to respond to trades immediately, but he's going to see them. So that means spam, 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 spam.
I expect a few from you, Mike. If I don't get a couple mega offers from you, I'll be disappointed.
Well, once you get off the pod, that's going to be the rest of the time. We're just going to figure out trades for Vikings to send to you.
That's fine.
I mean, not just me. I am an equal opportunity instigator. So I'm just going to start going through teams and say, hey, you know who would look really good on Bengals? Not this guy. Trade him to me instead.
You guys can work out trades for Matt, too. He loves that.
Oh, we will.
Does.
Yep. All right. Thanks, guys. Keep up the content.
All
right. So let's start looking at trades. We did all the boring business stuff when Chris was here. So good idea on that one. Let's start looking at trades. So surveying the AFC after one more week of craziness. The wild card looks even more in doubt than it did last week. You've got right now Ravens, Titans, Dolphins, and Raiders at 7-5. So that's 4 7-5 teams, one from each division, fighting for that, with 2 8-4s ahead of them in the East. So realistically, 3 teams are going to get left out of this. So I could see all of those teams being buyers, even though Raiders has already been a seller. If Raiders continue selling, James Conner is probably the piece that I think gets moved, just because from a price and a potential value standpoint. I'm thinking maybe a second-round pick makes sense there. Where should we move him to?
So I don't think a second round's unreasonable, but I think the deal gets done with like a third and like plus, like somebody throws in some extra other picks, maybe somebody that is a reserve type of player that might see opportunities next year. I don't know. Raiders has a really weird schedule, so like he probably wins the next 2, which makes his record look really good, and then he almost assuredly loses his last 3 because they are against the top tier of the league in football team, Packers, and Chargers, which I think are all in the hunt for a championship this year.
Right. So that could be trouble. Again, I think if he continues selling, the Rams could be an interesting location.
I agree. I think Rams really they need to be a buyer right now, and I think James Conner is a fantastic addition.
Yeah.
So
And
Rams
frankly, I think Robert Tonyan might be an interesting swap there. So, again, not the value he was to start the season, but he's still on a good contract and is a starting tight end in this league at less than $500,000 in terms of price. So, is it worth, in a 32-team league, having a starting tight end option locked in for next year for a guy like James Conner, who, again, at the end of this year, may have trouble finding another job in the real-life NFL?
Well, let's see what. So, Rams has third rounders next year, and 2023 has all of his picks minus the second. So I think Tanyan is probably in play for something like that, especially adding to the running back position. I think it might be a little bit less pressing because Gainwell's going to be the guy there, assuming. At least he won't have any competition with targets. With Sanders out. Yeah, I don't know. Does the Rams really need a running back in that situation? Or do
He's got Swift, so it's kind of having that secondary option if, I don't know, Swift doesn't throw up 20 points again.
Right. So yeah, I think that's a fantastic landing spot. Who else can we put Connor on?
I was looking at the Bucs.
Okay.
The Bucs have the Buffalo running back core, Salvin Ahmed, which you already said you like, Carlos Hyde, and Wayne Gallman. So an interesting running back core without really somebody who really grabs you and says this is going to be the guy who can give you RB1 weeks from a week-to-week basis. Having a guy like Connor who is touchdown dependent, I think makes some good sense. In terms of what would have to go to bring him in, it's probably going to have to be a pick.
So if you're Bucks, they've already moved all 2022 picks. They only have 2023. Don't know if they're paid up for 2023. Let me check. So they aren't paid up for 2023. So I guess I don't know. With
It's
Bucks,
tougher.
I think you send an offer of a second and Wayne Gallman for James Conner. So you get the contract dump. You pay on the higher side of Connor's value for somebody to take a contract also.
Yep. All right. So is there anyone else that also makes sense to cross divisions? Bears already went all in. Not sure if adding another running back makes sense for him.
Does Matt go for him? No.
I mean, kind of for what though? Like,
Right.
he's got Devonta and Latavius, so he's got the Baltimore running back. He's got Elijah Mitchell, who's given him good production there. So I don't think throwing $7 million at that makes sense for him right now, and I don't think he's going to throw Henry in a deal focused on James Conner unless CeeDee Lamb's moving too. So I don't think that's going to happen. So then kind of shift to other areas. So this would be interesting. Would Ravens swap James Conner straight up for him? I'm sorry, James Robinson straight up for him.
For James Conner?
Depending on how injured Robinson is, that could be
okay.
It says escape serious injury, but there's clearly a foot issue and he may not play. So I guess they're both kind of rentals, so probably not. He would do that all day long.
Does Texans?
I mean, that's
all their
kind of
2023 picks.
The deal that needs to happen. James Conner, Corey Davis.
Ooh. There we go.
Because that Corey Davis contract needs to move to a different team because it is so long and so wonderful and all of these things that need to be shared with the rest of the league.
Has Corey Davis ever not had 5 years left on his contract?
Yes, when he's had 6.
Man, it just feels like that contract keeps getting renegotiated every time it goes down to like 3 or 4 years.
It's like, God damn it, I can't. Like, they can't do it last year because he had a good year. They might not be able to do it this year because it might be enough just to kind of keep him in the conversation. But yeah, that's just no fun there. So, all right, yeah, I think that's the Jaguars situation. Oh, not the Jaguars, the Connor situation. But, Freudian slip. Let's see if Jaguars have anyone else they would need to sell here. Slayton didn't get moved to the deadline. Unfortunately, Henry Ruggs is dead. So tough on Javis. Sorry. He's going to probably just get cut or retired or whatever. But good news, you'll probably get that cap space back.
Well, he did already get cut.
Yeah, he got cut by the Raiders.
You're talking about in our league.
In our league, yes. Let's see. If I look at the man needs to move some linebackers. Judon and Khalil Mack are going to bring back something very wonderful if he can make some moves happen here. He's 0-12. Just embrace the fact that this is not your year. So he will hopefully make a move around those linebackers before things lock for the trade deadline. Yes, the Cavs officially beat the Portland Trailblazers. Nice. It's a good day there.
So let's talk about these linebackers because I think they're a great, like in the polar opposite sense, like great ones to talk about.
Yep.
So like Khalil Mack has the nice fancy name and the established player. But this obnoxious contract and his production is, I'm not going to say he's lacking, but he's certainly on the lower end of what you could expect from Khalil Mack. And Judon is criminally underpriced with an amazing contract and putting up pretty reasonable numbers since week 3. I mean, the first 2 were kind of meh, and 6 and 7 were kind of terrible too. But he looks to be like a 20-point a week guy, and if I'm not mistaken, he's like a top 10 linebacker.
Yeah, I'd love to get Judon. I think he's scoring like a top 10 linebacker, and he's locked in at less than $500,000. And my hope is that Ronnie Perkins is the long-term replacement for him.
I mean, that's a stretch because, like, you're talking about one of Bill's new fancy toys that he got this offseason. It's going to be at least 2 seasons before he gets tired.
So Judon is 29 years old. So I recognize that he is a ad for Bill this offseason. Completely understand.
Right.
I think he usually takes a year to transition somebody in, and as a result, you could see some Ronnie green shooting as a result. This could just be wild optimism because I have Ronnie Perkins. Who knows?
I agree with you. I just think I think we will see that at the tail end of next year.
Okay, I can agree with that. Khalil Mack, I think he's probably a second rounder if it's just the production as it is right now. The problem is it comes with a $14.6 million price tag. So you're moving something substantial to make room for him. So finding somebody who has that, ready to roll is not easy at this point. If I just take kind of a quick look at rosters of kind of some of the competing teams, Packers has 12 million in space. Ravens has 23.4, so that could be a potential option and could use a linebacker like that. So would a third round pick make sense, or maybe an upside guy? I wouldn't trade Van Jefferson. I think that's somebody you want to hang on to and see what happens. But say, would you do Dre Greenlaw for Khalil Mack, or Dre Greenlaw and a pick or something like that? I think could be a good way to.
Who's Greenlaw
on? He's on our Ravens, but real life 49ers.
Right. Okay. So yeah, I think that's a good landing spot. Somebody like the Ravens, and I think that's a good idea of a trade if you're looking at comparable injured players, at least value wise.
Yep. Texans have no space. Bills have an IR violation. Nobody in the AFC East has any space. God, didn't realize that Pats have less than $500,000 in space. So that might be something he has to do something about. Jets has 15 million. Would linebacker make sense? Yeah, losing Jayon Brown. That could be an interesting thing if he wants to try and move on from Jayon Brown and get a replacement.
That actually would be a very interesting trade.
Yeah, look at that. When was he picked?
Who?
Jayon Brown.
He's probably a second rounder.
Actually, trade extension in 2018. So he is off of his rookie contract at $4.4 million and is 26 years old. So I think he is a great target for people who are trying to add a injured linebacker at the deadline here. I think that's a good start for potential suitors there. Let's see. Who else needs to get moved? Let's go to the Panthers. Tough break with Jameis. If you're Panthers, so let's kind of get some opinions on here. Do you move Matt Stafford?
No, because you're not going to get what you want for him.
So let's see. Quarterbacks this year. Stafford is the second highest scoring quarterback, total, fourth highest on a point per game standpoint. So if you're talking about a quarterback that is movable and affordable to contenders, Stafford's the guy. But the thing that none of us have ever been able to figure out, because it's Panthers, is he acquiring picks or is he trying to jumpstart a rebuild for next year? If it's the second, then of course he's not moving Stafford. But if he were to move Stafford, let's see if we can find a fun home for him.
Unless they're moving something big as far as a player, I don't think any competitive team has enough picks to pay for it.
Let me think. What would be a fun thing that made sense? 49ers has a ton of comparable pieces. If Panthers could believe that Winston would make a comeback. Giants don't really make sense. That would be fun to see Giants say, you know what, I'm only 2 games out of the playoff race. Fuck it, I'm in.
That would be. Oh, is that like a? I don't know. Do you move somebody like Watson, or like do you take somebody like Watson for Stafford? Like just because of the if you take the legal trouble out of it, Watson is the higher rated dynasty quarterback by a pretty good margin, right?
Yeah, so again, you're in a situation that because of the legal situation and everything else going on, you have to price that in. So you're probably, if you're Giants, going to have to add to Watson to get to Stafford.
Okay.
And that's a really tough thing for anybody to stomach, especially considering the way that Watson can line up the scoreboard.
Right.
Let's see. Patriots has been our wild card here, so that could be fun. But the problem is finding something that works.
Does Falcons get scared of Murray not practicing?
I think that would make a lot of sense to go there, but let's see. What could Falcons do here? Space-wise, they've got almost enough to fit him. If they sent, say, NTN, a pick, and I don't know.
Because we're assuming with some of these teams like Falcons, it would be a rental where they would be shopping Stafford again in the offseason or whatever quarterback they were replacing due to injury, if that quarterback isn't involved. Because, I don't think you necessarily move Kyler Murray to get Stafford. I don't know. Maybe you do. But I think you're in the same situation with, Watson. Just, you'd be asking for something back, and it's kind of hard for Panthers, even just as a tanking team or a team on the outside to, pay more.
Let's see. Who do they have on IR? Could that be fun? You know what? Just for shits and giggles. If the Bears went and offered Odell Beckham Jr. and Ryan Tannehill for Matt Stafford, that could be a spicy little trade.
Yeah, that's actually really good.
As much as I don't want to make the Bears better, that could be a really fun trade to see happen just because Stafford's clearly an upgrade unless they unleash Tannehill in Tennessee, which is an option, but probably not one we're expecting to see. And God only knows what the hell's happening with Beckham, but he has potential upside if he can get himself the hell out of Cleveland. But, hey, that's what we do. Let's see what else.
I didn't realize Tannehill was playing. I don't want to say bad because he's the 12th highest scoring quarterback, but that's a pretty big drop off.
It's not great, Bob.
Yeah.
The Lions could be.
Lions have perpetually been in the hunt for a franchise quarterback for so long.
So but again, I'm shifting gears. This is not a Matt Stafford trade. This is a interesting pieces to move.
Okay.
Place. So Kendrick Bourne, $9 million, isn't the most affordable receiver, but is really starting to emerge as a real option in New England. Since week 3, his scores have been 21.6, 10.8, 6.8, 14.5, 16, and 5.8. Rough math of what that means on a point per game, I'm saying that's probably in the 12 to 13 range. At $9 million, that ain't bad. So having that as a trade extension could make some good sense here. So I could see him getting moved for maybe a late second, early third equivalent because the trade extension would have to be used, and that's going to probably bump that towards the $10 million range. But then also Devin Duvernay, who is renegotiable and under $1 million right now. I think he was picked for a late second. I think a early to mid second probably gets that done. So those are two options. But then moving towards the defense, there's a couple of depth guys or safeties that I think make some sense. So I think if Lions get themselves in there, they can add a few more picks or young pieces. Again, he could move Tommy Tremble. He won't, but he could.
I'd probably pay a hefty price for Tommy Tremble, as I'd imagine a couple other people would.
Yeah. I would enjoy having Tremble as a tight end too until I feel relatively confident that that Kittle has his shit together. Let's see. Let's look at the Chiefs. So we know he's not going to move either of those big receivers. Daniel Jones is an interesting potential move. Next year's his option year in our league, I think, because it's Darnold's option year this year, and that's a different class. So you've got him cheap one more year, but if the Giants continue to suck as much as they have been sucking, there's a real chance that he's going to have some competition next year. So does Jones get moved? Miles Sanders is on IR, so he can't really go anywhere. We talked about the receivers, although Quez Watkins and Cedric Wilson. I think you mentioned Wilson. I think Quez is starting to not cement, but establish himself as the number 2 receiver there. Hey,
So,
you know what's good? Corners. Adoree Jackson. Do it.
I think for a team like Chiefs who wants to look towards the future, I don't think you get rid of 3 of those wide receivers because you have them on multi-year deals. I'd probably just hold on to Quez, see if his value goes up anymore. With Wilson, you have to get rid of him. Like, you don't have to, but it's kind of, it would be really smart to get rid of him before the deadline so that somebody, not just for somebody to take advantage of the trade extension, but to get the most value out of somebody because they intend on using a trade extension. I think Michael Brockers is somebody that you ship on that $3 million deal. He's a solid defensive tackle.
Mm-hmm.
Why does he have so many slightly above average defensive tackles?
I mean, that's D tackle is another one of those positions where you either have to, pay or you have to have volume.
So I think you sell off Brockers, Blyle Nichols, and Derek Nandi as soon as possible, and you get whatever third or fourth round pick that you can. You're not going to get a ridiculous amount for him, but at very worst, you could turn it into a defensive tackle next year, a rookie that has already been earmarked for a starting job because that 4th round is basically where they go.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get extra years added onto a contract. Yeah, I would get rid of those. You get rid of the corners, like you said. Adoree Jackson would be fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Another one of those, you're not going to get anything great, but why not get comparable value as the comp pick you would get just slightly earlier in that round?
Get a third. Go get a third for him, and you'll get a third back, and you get the production, and could move down 14 slots.
And then I don't know how many people closely watch the Patriots snap counts as much as I do, but I would definitely go get Devin McCourty right now. Just go look at Kyle Duggar's snap counts and how they've progressively gotten worse, and that will explain why you should go get Devin McCourty.
Well, we just had waivers process, so let's see. Trevor Siemian went for $10 million. Jordan Howard went for $10 million. Devin Smith went for $12 million.
Who?
Devin Smith got signed to a practice squad this week. Sometimes when I look at our waiver run, I am reminded of a great quote from Gone in 60 Seconds. You know what the problem is with this town? Too many bloody wankers with too much bloody money.
Is the Devin Smith just to get under?
Get over the floor?
Yep.
Potentially. Trying to think who.
Yeah.
It may have been the actual real life Panthers who signed him as a practice squad guy.
Yeah. Real life Panthers picked him up, but he got cut from their practice squad yesterday.
Yep. So
the Jordan Howard pickup, I mean, good pickup. Trevor Siemian, whatever, paid more than I was willing to. So, and I was just going to try to flip him. The Jabari bid was a little bold for one game, but I don't hate it because he is a name that has stayed in the league for 2 years. Yeah, he hasn't been completely put out. Derek Gore, that's an interesting pickup. Yeah, okay, nothing too crazy. First two pickups were really good, Jordan Howard and Trevor Siemian. And if he wants, he could probably flip those for some late round picks.
Yep, I concur. Just have to check something. All right, I've got that. Good.
Everybody live can check while we pick over the free agents that are still available.
Yeah, no, I have to check something for my home league. We have our free agent run that happens now, and I had completely forgotten about it and need to pay mild attention to that. So we'll keep an eye on that as we go. Let's pick out a buying team. Let's look at the Bengals. We promised we'd look at him a little bit.
So we're going chopping for him?
Okay. We know we just kind of said, I'll just get right up to it. Do you offer Justin Fields for Matt Stafford?
Maybe, but probably not. I think you offer all your IR guys for a really good quarterback.
Do you offer Justin Fields and Daniel Hunter for Matt Stafford?
I don't know. I don't know if Bengals wants to get rid of Justin Fields. It's really nice. It's really nice to be like one of the better teams in the league and have a young quarterback. Like
I agree.
That's a really good feeling. So I don't know if you do that just for a, potential shot. Yes, that would certainly put him. He'd probably move up into like that sixth team that should realistically be hunting for a title or have the thought of like title or bust.
Mm-hmm.
I think you just try to ship Gus and to it for something reasonable. Maybe add a defensive end, add like a lesser quarterback, one of the other ones that we were throwing around.
Mm-hmm.
A Daniel Jones, maybe.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think in terms of what could be a fun, bigger deal. So if I'm looking at the top D ends right now, so the ones that have not broken themselves. Myles Garrett's not going anywhere. Hassan Reddick's not going anywhere. Jonathan Grenard. Who the
Rookie
Yeah.
last year. He's in Green Bay, right?
Yeah,
Or Packers.
our Packers has him.
Right.
Jabari Zwinga. All right. Cam Hayward's already spoken for. Leonard Williams, DeMarcus Lawrence, Trey Hendrickson, Sam Hubbard. Yeah, I was checking to see if there's an elite DN that would make sense. Like if I packaged a couple of these pieces together and got a DN that helped me now. Like, is there a deal like that?
The only halfway decent defensive end that anybody has on their trade bait that is willing to like really move them is they're all on the Patriots roster.
Yeah.
So you have basically you have to go through the Patriots if you want a productive defensive end.
Right. So I think that kind of well signs that up. Let's see. I know I've been shopping, but I have trouble finding a good trade partner because, what can I say? Just having trouble. Which is fine. Let's look at. I was going to look at the Cowboys, but he never logs on anyway. So, what's the point?
I mean, the one player that he's selling right now is Peterson. I don't know if he's finding the price that he wants because he hasn't been moved yet.
I mean, it's $9.4 million. That's not nothing, but it's not going to kill you.
Right.
The problem is, I can't see offering more than a third for him. If it was a less than $5 million contract, I would see going up to a second, but having to eat almost $10 million and not knowing what Adrian Peterson has left or is in that offense now.
Right. Yeah, I agree with it.
So that's my feeling there. He's got Henderson too, so who knows? Maybe you put Akers, Henderson, and Peterson together and go try and get Derrick Henry.
I don't know. Did you see the tweet of Cam Akers running today?
I did not.
He's about 2 months ahead of his rehab. So he was doing running. It wasn't all out sprints. He was doing it somewhat gingerly. But yeah, he looked all right.
Let's see. Who else? Looks like the Washington football team wants to come on. So let's get him an invite, and then we can start to talk about his team.
Cool. While you do that, I'll be back in a second.
Okay. Done.
Do we have a Washington football team?
Not yet, but we'll.
Oh, okay. Sorry to leave you hanging then.
Good.
Glad everybody enjoyed that dead silence.
Well, it's okay. Washington football team's here now.
Yeah, I'm trying to untangle some headphones. What's up, guys?
What's up?
Not much, just trying to multitask a little bit, but sometimes we have to do that. So, how come you haven't made more trades yet? That's not the answer I want. I want you to tell me why haven't you made more trades yet?
1 second, I got the stream going in Discord as well as listening to it live, so it sounds like it's rebounding. There we go. Trades. I have sent out a number of offers. But my favorite thing in the world, of course, all rejections with no comments, no counter, no nothing. So I was on vacation last week, so things been slowing down a little bit.
Well, I mean, what the problem is I think you just need to trade me Darnell Mooney so I can refill you on picks, and then you can go shopping again.
Exactly.
Mooney is not going anywhere for quite some time.
I know.
What?
I just like to give you a hard time about him.
That is still one of my favorite trades of last year by far.
So what are you in the market for? Anything particular?
I'd like a little more wide receiver depth, if I'm being honest. I've been, doing the perpetual trades of trying to get younger at QB, which never seems to work.
Yeah, I mean, you got a spry young chicken in Tom Brady.
Yeah, I mean, he's the top point scorer right now, last I checked. So
yeah,
I can't really complain, but just trying to look towards the future.
Right.
There we go. Got him, Mike.
Let's see here. So, yeah, you got the Tampa collective, Dalvin Cook, which has been less than stellar, but you also have Myles Gaskin. Unfortunately, Juju really let you down, but having Regan Evans handles all manner of sins. Then you address the defense some earlier in the season. What you could really use, and I hear they're going for really good prices now, is a cornerback.
Yeah, you find one of those for like a second rounder now.
I refuse to pay anything for any cornerback ever.
Good man.
I will not put any value in the position ever. Never have, never will. That's just you can find a no-name scoring the top points on a team just because they get targeted every single game. But I don't put any value in that position.
Hey, don't give away all of my trade secrets. Like, get the young guys that get picked on in the passing game.
Yeah, you just keep drafting with your, fourth-round draft picks. That's all you need to do, honestly.
Yep.
Get like a second-round guy, first-round guy. There you go. You're set.
So are you looking to move any of your IR guys or anything?
I really haven't. I mean, DeMarcus Lawrence isn't going anywhere. He should be back soon, is my hope. I keep hearing, conflicting stories of, he's getting really close, and then it's, no, it's another month. So
I hear they're going to remove his leg. So like Mooney, you should move him to me so you can go shopping elsewhere.
If I get an offer I can't refuse, he's definitely on the block, but 4 years on a top-tier defensive end at $2.7 million, it would have to be a pretty sweet offer.
I mean, like, I imagine with somebody like that, you could probably go out and find another top tier. Just a matter of, like, finding somebody that's willing to make that move. We were talking, like, right before you got on. I think the only person that's in the market for, like, to move a defensive end, is Patriots. And they're certainly willing to talk. But I don't know if any of the defensive ends are really, like, I want to move DeMarcus Lawrence for this defensive end.
No, definitely not. I've looked through his team, and he's. I mean, last I checked, he was still in the buy stage, sitting at 8-4 in his division, which is tied for second place in his division.
Oh yeah, I'm just saying in the sense of like he has defensive ends and he's willing to talk, and nobody else has defensive ends on the trade block.
Yeah, but no. I mean, Ogba is the only one. Ogba and Bosa, but Bosa would go for a king's ransom. I don't have the room for Bosa, and Ogba would. I definitely don't have the room for Ogba. So
I wouldn't sleep on Davenport. His snap counts are getting to be pretty reasonable at this point.
24 points through how many weeks?
It's one of those. It's an inevitability. He didn't play in a couple of games.
Yeah, but it's been inevitable for how many years? I mean, this is his 4th year in the league.
Yeah.
End of his rookie contract.
Yeah, the problem is he'd be 5th-year option, which I think has already been exercised, or if it hasn't, it would need to be. And DNs ain't cheap.
Nope, sure aren't. But I mean, I'm happy with my DN group right now. I've had some surprise producers the last few weeks, so I can't really complain.
Yeah. I think the only thing that you're really in need is like wide receiver depth. Like you would love to have somebody else that could get you like somewhere near a floor.
Yeah, no, I would, and I've scoured teams. I've got like a 1st and a 2nd round pick in 2023 to throw around, and depth at running back or wide receiver. But
you might just be looking a little bit too high. I'd be shopping for like those lower end ones, like the Randall Cobb-esque trades that went down. Like I'd be shopping for that type of a player.
Yeah, but I really haven't found much that I think is going to produce. I'm very picky when it comes to offensive talent. Defensive talent, I'll throw things at a wall and see what sticks. But offense, I just tend to be a lot more picky.
Because there's $7 million James Conner out there.
There is,
and that would help you with that Chris Carson.
Yes, you've actually you're reading my mind there. That was what I hopped on to do originally before I saw the podcast. So we'll see what the price is there.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Yeah, I don't know. Like I'm having the same trouble you are, Sean. It's I see trades I'd like to make, but I just am at a point where I really can't. If people want picks, I don't have those anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Injured players, my injured guys are on the older side, so they're not like my, the young injured guys that, oh yeah, I can build around this. No. Or now it's hey, Judy's back from his injury, so he doesn't gotten back up to real value yet, but he's been injured, so hey, I get the detriment for him. So
the only guy that's willing to pay the price for Judy in this league already owned him and sent him to the Vikings.
Yeah, and I mean, at this point in the season, the teams that are wanting to move pieces, they've pretty much moved what they wanted to move.
That's why I did all mine in the off season.
Yeah, so it's a lot slower pickings than I think people realize. People throw all sorts of stuff on their trade block, but you reach out and I want an arm and a leg and 2 eyeballs for someone putting up 60 points through the season so far.
You have balls. I like balls.
Well, if anybody wants to come offer for Dawson Knox, I hear he's going to be healthy in a week or two. But he's going to be stupid expensive.
He'll be healthy for about a week or two as well.
Yeah.
It's fine. As long as he's healthy next year when I need him.
It's true.
I don't even know what Knox would take. He's such a volume guy.
Oh, a lot. Like, a lot. A very uncomfortable amount.
Yeah. And what round was he picked in?
Oh, you don't have to worry. He's not on his rookie deal.
Oh, look at that.
Mm-hmm. He's a $1.75 million, top 6 tight end?
Yeah, I mean, with that star-studded tight end right there, you just need to fill out your running backs and wide receivers and pray that he pans out and you'll be all set.
He's in the nose of everybody.
I don't have to worry about that quarterback. It's the one that I take with the first pick next year that has to pan out.
Yeah.
Who you sending Lance to?
Oh, I don't know if I don't know where I'm sending Lance at this point. I just my franchise quarterback is going to be my pick this coming year, I'd imagine.
Well, if you want a shiny new at that point, DeMarcus Lawrence and a first and second or something or other, let me know.
We might have to talk. Hurry up and get off this podcast so we can fire up these conversations.
All right. Well, clearly nobody else wants to make any trades. You know, we've done our best, guys. We've tried to seed the league with some ideas.
We're going to be on for quite a while more. We're waiting for Matt to get on. So there's still talks to be had. Everybody should, I don't know, we'll probably go into Discord at some point. So everybody that wants to do a trade should hop in there.
Giddy up. Let's get weird.
And if you don't have a trade partner or don't have picks, come talk to me. I'll give you picks to go buy stuff.
A whole bunch of fourth rounders.
Like I said, let's get weird.